Hello there everybody, Sam Strains here, welcome back to the Railway and welcome to another brake van review. So yes, today I thought I would continue my slight obsession slash fetish, I suppose, with brake vans, and it is another Toad brake van in fact, although this time not one from the Great Western, which might surprise you. So yeah, it is the Hornby LNER Toad brake van. In fact, it's known as the Toad B. And yes, it's a Hornby. Obviously, I've already looked at an Oxford brake van, Bachmann brake van, so I might as well finish off the trio and look at a Hornby one. So yes, I don't have any super detailed LNER brake vans, which is an awful shame. Obviously, that's all going to change today though, because I've got this one. I bought this from Hatton's. It was relatively inexpensive. It's the second cheapest brake van I've bought. It cost me £19.50, and there's a link in the description if you want to check them out as well. Right now, I've not had this out of the box, so I have no idea whatsoever what this is going to be like, but knowing Hornby, it's going to be at least reasonably impressive at the very least. So come with me, let's get this out, and we will find out together what this Toad B brake van is like. Okay, let's get to it. So, here we go then with another rolling stock unboxing, and I've been saying this quite a lot recently, but I really am enjoying doing rolling stock. The problem is though, as someone who's collected a lot of crusty old-fashioned sort of rolling stock over many, many years, I don't really have much idea as to what else is out there. So I've been doing a lot of brake vans recently, but obviously there's an awful lot more than brake vans to the world. So if you know of any rolling stock that you think I would enjoy unboxing or that you think would make a good video, definitely get down into that comment section and let me know, and I will certainly look into getting some because, yeah, as I say, it's very enjoyable. So the Hornby Toad brake van, in fact, let me show you exactly what it is. Here's the end of the box. So the catalogue number for this is R6833. It is LNER, as I've said. It's a Toad B 20-ton brake van, and it has the running number 140422, if I've read that right. Pretty tiny lettering there from where I was sitting. So, fairly basic box. Well, it's a nice box, very nice and shiny. Makes a difference, I think. But no info on the back or anything like that, so we might as well go straight ahead and get this out. Okay, well, let's find out what it's like. Obviously, there's quite a bit to compare it to now that I've done... Which end shall I open? Now that I've done quite a few different brake vans, so no pressure. But as you know, Hornby tend to know what they're doing, so I have no doubt that it's going to be decent. Okay, so there it is on a nice bit of white card, inexplicably. Fair enough. Okay, well, let's get it out, shall we? It's very light, I must say. Not a lot of weight to it, but yeah, you can't gauge the weight properly, really, until you've got it in your hand. So let's unbox this and take a look. Ooh. Right, look at that. Now, it hits you straight away, the level of detail on this. It really does. Really, really super detailed brake van. Yeah, you can tell. I've not looked at it closely yet. This is my first look, but yes, immediately, supremely detailed. Very, very, very impressive. But very light. Yes, very light. I will have to check whether it's lighter than the Oxford Rail Toad, but it is extremely light. As I said before, though, it doesn't really matter with brake vans because they haven't got to do much, have they? They've just got to sit at the back of the train. But yes, very, very impressive looking, at least outwardly. Although I don't expect there'll be anything inside, but we will see, Okay, so here's a little bit of info on the Toad Bs from the LNER, and as soon as we've got that over with, I will show you this up close. Oh, I love this already. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, let's hear about them. So, the Toad B brake van was first introduced as late as 1924, actually, which might surprise you, of course to the LNER, and brought with it many successful features of previous designs from the GNR and the NER. This time, though, they were built with steel soul bars and headstocks, probably to increase their lifespan. I suppose it wouldn't rot quite as much as wood does. Although, of course, the main body is made of wood, although I suppose it's really the underframe, isn't it, that's going to get most of the dampness and the splashings of water and such. Either way, the Toad B weighed in at 20 tonnes and it was 19 feet long. Over 700 of these were built in total between 1924 and 1929, and they were actually constructed in several locations, including Birmingham and Doncaster. The extrapolation of this design actually led to the later BR standard goods brake van design, which would dominate British Railways a little bit later on, well, from 1948 onwards. Alright, so there it is then, up for a nice close look, and as I say, yes, just looking at it, you can just see how exquisite the level of detail is on this. Now at £19.50, that's what I paid from the retailer, although I think the RRP is £21.99. That is obviously quite a bit more expensive than the Toads from Oxford Rail, for example. However, the level of detail on this particular Toad definitely seems to be no less impressive. It really is astonishingly good. So let's take a look at some of the different aspects of this then. First of all, the paintwork. Now, as you can see, the lettering and numbering, I suppose, on the sides has been sort of printed onto the panelling effect, and I know there's no other way to do it, but just the way the panels are still visible behind the text is very pleasing to me. I love the way that looks. As I say, it's unavoidable, and that's how they would have been in real life. But yeah, it's just a beautiful touch of realism, isn't it, that? And as you can see, the lettering and numbering is done really, really well, even down to the 20-ton lettering down on the sort of bottom left. The actual frame of the thing as well has got an awful lot of printed detail on it, some of it very, very fine and tiny, so hats off to Hornby for actually being able to replicate that so nicely. Yes, you can just see how tiny and yet legible some of that is. Very, very impressive. So I think probably the main impressive feature, at least outwardly, of this model is the handrails. As you can see, they do protrude quite a way out from the bodywork, which does make them look very, very realistic. Of course, there is a worry that they're going to be too fragile, but when you flex them, well, when you touch them, you can see that they do indeed move. However, they do seem to be almost rubbery, which means that they're, you know, rather than breaking, are going to just flex, which is probably exactly what you want. So although those are going to be fragile and you need to be careful not to catch them and tear them off or anything like that, I think overall they seem to be well designed at the very least. The underframe is highly impressive as well. You've got these, I don't know, what would these actually be called, the technical name? I suppose it's so that guards can climb up the side and use them as a bit of a ladder almost to get on board. Well, either way, whatever they're called, you can see how nicely moulded they are. Very, very fine and thin pieces. Again, you have to be careful, I think, not to accidentally catch those. But yes, very, very fine little pieces. And as you can see, the underframe is extremely good as well. Lots of fine moulded detail on there. The buffers are not plastic. As you can see, the buffers are made of metal, which shines very, very nicely. And obviously, there's no way to get that with just plastic. Unfortunately, the buffers are not sprung. If I just spring this one here, yeah, you can see they're not sprung. However, there are representations of springs on the underframe, and if I just flip this over and get another shot, yes, you can see that there are some springs moulded onto the underframe / chassis. So that's very, very impressive. The verandas themselves are quite impressive as well. As you can see, we do have glazed windows, which is really, really nice to see. I've had some brake vans even more expensive than this that hasn't had them. Backman. But there is some lovely wood panelling effect going on there, especially on the door, as you can see, which does have its door handle and everything. And even the floor inside that veranda is complete with the wood panelling effect. Now, I'm going to try and get a shot through the windows for you. However, unfortunately, they are so tiny that we don't get to see what's inside there, if anything. So I'm going to very, very riskily dismantle this brake van and find out exactly what's inside. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, so here's the inside piece. This is the piece that sort of fits, well, it is the floor, basically. It's the floor of the brake van. And as you can see, astonishingly, there is an interior. Now, there's no way that you would ever see any of this. Even if I pressed my eye right up to the window, I couldn't really see this. I could see that there was something inside, which prompted me to open this up. But as you can see, we do have the brake wheel there, which is great to see. And also on the left here, this strange apparatus. Well, it looks like a stove. I don't really know if it would be. If it is a stove, they certainly made themselves at home in there, didn't they? What were they doing? Baking cakes for the engineer or something? I don't know, but either way, very highly impressive to see any interior detail whatsoever inside this thing, given how enclosed the interior is. So yeah, attention to detail, and just that alone demonstrates that no expense has been spared with this model. And for such a tiny thing, look at the size of my hand in comparison to it. It is pretty tiny, and the level of detail is pretty colossal, let's be honest. Okay, the roof is quite nicely detailed as well. Now, these little knobbles on the top, I've expressed, I've said, what are these in previous videos, and I've had all sorts of answers. Some people have told me they're for electric lights. Some people have told me they're purely for decorative purposes. In fact, you name the purpose and somebody has told me that that's what they're for. I think they're something to do with air intake, aren't they? Do they draw in air into the interior as it runs along? I'm not 100% sure, but either way, nicely little moulded pieces there. They do appear to be fragile, but of course they're actually not. You can handle them quite nicely. Again, you're going to want to be careful not to chip them off unnecessarily. But again, yeah, just in general, the build quality of the model seems to be really, really good. Metal wheels, of course, as you can see, and pre-fitted NEM couplings as well, which obviously obviously you can change to suit your fancy if that's something you wanted to do. But yeah, quite, oh, thought it was going to roll away then, nearly destroyed the thing, stay there. Anyway, yes, you can get a good impression, hopefully from this, of just how realistic this thing looks. Even the little lamps, look, above the verandas there. I think they're lamps. Very, very finely detailed little things. And look at the ends. You've got the lamp irons pre-fitted, more of those really, really ultra fine handrails fitted as well. Yeah, it's super impressive, isn't it? And just get a load of this tiny little grab rail that's been fitted onto this protruding part here. Absolutely astonishing attention to detail. One tiny little criticism that I can spot is that the inner surface of the very outer wall of the verandas is left completely without texture. Now in real life there was no wood panelling effect on that particular area, but there were little sandboxes which were fitted to those, although to be fair later they were removed, so it's very possible that this particular van was modelled on after the sandboxes had been removed. But even then there were sort of tiny little rivet-like pieces on there. It wasn't just a completely flat surface. However, if that is the biggest criticism I can spot on the thing, then I think we're doing fairly well, aren't we? Yeah, it's super impressive, isn't it? So even for the slightly higher price tag, I think it is justified because the level of detail is astonishing, and I'm really, really glad because now I've got a super detailed L&ER brake van, which is awesome. So let's get this down onto the track then and see what it looks like at the back of, well, an L&ER goods train. Let's give it a try. Okay, so I have set up the J50 there, a gorgeous classic L&ER tank engine, and she's got a little bit of a train of mixed freight, as you can see, and at the back of it there is no brake van, so I'm going to be putting this brand new Toad B on the back of there. Now normally I say I'm going to put it on the track and test how free running it is, but there's absolutely no need this time because the damn thing would not stay still while I was trying to film it with, well, for its close-ups. So I know all too well just how freewheeling the thing is. Yeah, it's very difficult actually to make it stay still, to say it's a brake, but that's exactly what you want, of course. Very, very free running, as you can see. That's crazy. Okay, well, let's couple it up to the back of the train. There we go. And let's start the J50 and see how it handles the track. Let's give it some then. Oops, sorry, not a very gentle start there. Okay, let's keep it reasonably slow, shall we? A bit slower than that. There we go. And there is the Toad B. Looks wonderful, that does, and we'll catch up with that in just a second. So on the other lines, inside line to start with, I've decided to put out a few of my other brake vans that I'm particularly proud of. So here we have a West Country class. What could be on the back of there? Well, it is the Queen Mary brake van from Bachmann. And if you're interested in that model at all, do check the top corner right now. There's a link to that review if you want to see that. And then on the middle line we have, well, let's see, let me bring it in for you. It is a Great Western 14XX, also with a small goods train. And on the back of this one, you can probably guess what it is, but yeah, it's probably the best, if not the best value brake van I've got. It's the Oxford Rail Toad. And again, feel free to check out my review of that if you'd like to. But for the time being, let's see how, well, let's see how the new Toad B is getting on, shall we? So I'm going to try my best not to let the super duper Hornby J50 steal the show too much, because she is inclined to do that. So let's hold back and wait for the brake to come. And as I say, it's amazing what a difference a super detailed brake van makes, especially when you think about the ones I used to use. Although I still do love the sort of old vintage ones, so I will still run them from time to time. But it's nice to have the option, isn't it? It's nice to have a super detailed brake van if that's what you're in the mood for that day. And I suppose if you've got a super detailed layout to go with it, unlike mine of course, then it's a necessity really, isn't it? It's been a very, very long time since I've run a Bullied Pacific of any sort, so yep, that's a travesty that's been corrected today, especially because it's my favourite class of loco. I've got to have that going again. I have to do some more of that. And yes, enjoying this. How about a brake vans running session? Anybody up for that? Let me know. Odd idea, I know, but I think it might be interesting. So don't forget to let me know down in the comments what you think. Is it worth the money? Would you buy one yourself? Yeah, let me know what you think. I think you can tell what I think. Yeah, very, very impressive. And I think for a reasonably low price tag, definitely worth the money, I would say. Alright, so here are some of my ratings then for the Hornby Toad B brake van. The detail, to me, I think on balance was definitely worthy of a 5-star. If you disagree, please do let me know. But for me, I think it was the interior detail. The fact that it did have an interior blew my mind very slightly. So for that, and obviously for the level of detail on the rest of the model, I am going to give it a 5-star. Performance, once again, 5-star. It's a bit of a minor category, this, but it does perform exactly as it's supposed to. No derailments. Even though it is pretty light, it does seem to run just fine. Quality, once again, was very, very good. I am going to give it just a 4-star though, because it is a little bit light, I would say. It's a little bit light and also a little bit flimsy in some areas, although it has been quite cleverly designed so that the handrails, for example, are quite nice and rubbery and flexible so that they don't just break when you touch them. So that has to be a good thing. And the value then, for £19.80, that was the price exactly if you were interested, I think this is pretty good. Obviously we have seen better value from the likes of Oxford Rail, but again, on balance, I do think that the value for money there is very, very good. So I've given that a 4-star. Overall then, that is a very good rating of 8.91. Yes, I think well deserving of a high score there, and I can overall recommend these. Really, really decent models. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. As I say, I've not yet had a rolling stock review. I've not yet done a rolling stock review that I haven't thoroughly enjoyed, so I'm looking to do more, like I say. So let me know, of course, as I say. Do send in your suggestions as to what you'd like to see me review next on the rolling stock front, and I will be taking them very seriously. And I will be buying some more rolling stock to review because I love it. And most people rightly say it is about time I modernise some of my rolling stock, so I am trying to do that. Well, there you go then, folks. I do hope you enjoyed that. I hope you liked seeing the Toad B. And if you did, of course, don't forget to drop the video a like, because that will show me that you enjoy this sort of video, and I will make more if enough people do. For the time being, though, thank you for your company. Thank you for watching. Have a great week, or weekend. I forget when I'm going to upload this. But either way, have a good time, whatever time it might be. And I will talk to you all again very soon. All right. Cheers, folks. See you very soon.